Even the words that sting can be spoken in love. When correction feels harsh, it can still be an act of compassion, a steady hand guarding a fragile future. Sometimes the people who love us the most will say the words we least want to hear. It can often feel sharp, almost unfair, like they've missed the beauty that we see in our dreams. Yet often, beneath that sting, there's a type of grace at work, a true form of love, something different. They're not aiming to wound us, they're trying to keep us safe, whole, and true. In a world that celebrates agreement and affirmation, honest correction can feel like rejection sometimes. We may flare with anger or shame, convinced that someone is trying to hold us back. But love is not always soft and agreeable. It's sometimes the gentle restraint that keeps us from walking blindly into harm. And maybe you felt that flush of indignation when someone challenged you. Maybe you've wondered later if maybe their words carried more care than you realized in the moment. When have you mistaken someone's love for cruelty? And what did time reveal to you about their heart? Charlie had welded for more years than Kirk had been alive. His hands bore small silver scars, quiet little trophies of lessons learned under the hiss of flare and molten metal. The shop's floor smelled faintly of iron and old rain tracked in from muddy boots. The fluorescent lights overhead just always had a hum to them, casting long shadows against the racks of steel. Kirk had always admired Charlie, steady, unshakable, a man who carried wisdom like an old leather tool belt. Kirk was ambitious, quick-witted, brimming with a hunger to prove himself. That hunger was both a gift and danger. He was young enough to believe that he was invincible, old enough to want independence, and restless enough to push past boundaries to feel alive. One evening, the shop was quieter than usual. The other apprentices had all gone home for the night, and Kirk's welds were smooth, clean, and fast. A little bit too fast. And eager to admire his own handiwork, without the filter of a protective hood, he stripped it off a little bit too soon. And the ark's blue flare just burned bright, and for a split second, he basked in his own skill. Charlie's voice cut through the hiss, though. Kirk, mask on, always. The words, they landed like a hammer. Kirk felt that flush of irritation just rise up in his chest. To him, it wasn't a simple correction. It was a judgment, a doubt cast on his ability. I know what I'm doing, he snapped, lowering the hood with a just sharp motion, his pride still just a little bit exposed. Charlie stepped closer. His voice was calm but firm, the kind of tone forged through years of keeping others safe. Skill means nothing if you can't see tomorrow. The reprimand burned hotter than the weld, and Kirk's jaw tightened up. The shadows seemed to just lean in, and he muttered, "You don't trust me." And Charlie sighed, the sound low and weary. "I trust you enough to stop you before you're hurt." But Kirk's pride was louder than the reason. The next day, resentment simmered beneath his every movement. He moved quickly, cutting corners to prove a point only he understood. And then it happened. An instant's carelessness. A blinding white flash seared his unshielded eyes. Pain exploded, fierce, merciless, and the world dissolved into darkness. Later at the hospital, the air smelled of antiseptic and rain on steel. Machines beeped softly. Kirk lay in a dim room, eyes bandaged, the weight of regret pressing heavier than the bandages themselves. And he replayed the moment over and over, realizing too late how fragile a future could be. That night, the door creaked open. Footsteps shuffled quietly across the linoleum. The chair scraped softly up beside the bed. Then a calloused, scarred hand slipped into his own, steady, unwavering. And Charlie didn't speak. He didn't offer, "I told you so," or an easy platitude. The silence between them was thick with meaning. A language older than words. Kirk's throat tightened. Tears slipped beneath the bandages. That silence, the sharp edges of pride softened, and understanding bloomed. Charlie's warning had never been cruelty. It had been love wearing the right clothes of rebuke. After the hours passed, Kirk felt the warmth of that hand anchoring him. He remembered the stories Charlie had told about his own mistakes, the scars on his hands, scars earned through years of youthful haste. And it dawned on him that love isn't always soft. It's sometimes the firm grip on your shoulder, pulling you back from the ledge. Weeks later, when the bandages came off and his eyes healed enough to see, Kirk returned to the shop. The sparks still danced in the arcs across the floor, but he saw them differently now. Every hiss and flare was a reminder. Boundaries weren't chains. They were shields. Charlie's presence across the room carried a new weight, not of authority, but of care. Kirk approached him, voice low. "I get it now." Charlie looked up, the faintest smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. He didn't need to ask what Kirk meant. He simply nodded and returned to his work. From then on, Kirk wore his mask religiously. He also carried a deeper vision, not just of welding, but of relationships, of guidance, of love that holds even when it hurts. The scars on Charlie's hands became a quiet testimony that pain can teach, warnings can save, and sometimes the sparks that burn are the same ones that forge something stronger. When was a moment you realized someone's tough words were meant to protect, not to punish? Before we continue, I want to take a moment to share how you can support what's happening here. Support it in a way that aligns with the heart of this channel. All of these videos, these little talks about love, resilience, faith, and just being human are built to give you a space to slow down, reflect, and feel a little bit less alone. Over time, this space has grown into something larger than just video. It has become a small community built around presence, compassion, and honesty. For those of you who want to go a step deeper into that experience, I've recently released a book called In My View. It's a blend of photography and reflective writing, images paired with quiet stories and simple meditations about memory, belonging, beauty, faith, and the overlooked corners of everyday life. So if these videos have spoken to you on any level, the book expands that same spirit in a more tangible form. It's something that you can hold yourself, revisit, and sit with slowly, especially on days when you need a reminder that you're not alone or that there is still beauty worth noticing. The book is available now through a link in the description. If you choose to pick up a copy, it genuinely supports this work on this channel and helps keep these conversations going. And I'll be honest, it means a great deal to me personally because it tells me that what we're doing here has value in your life. But I also know that not everyone wants or needs a book, and that's completely fine. If you still want to support the channel and the message behind it, the simplest action is free and makes a huge difference. Just like the video, subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment. It may seem small, but those little gestures help push these conversations into the path of someone who may be quietly searching for encouragement, for clarity, or just a place to feel seen for a moment. So whether you support through the book, through a click and a comment, or simply by just showing up and watching and listening, I want you to know something. It matters, and it means just as much to me either way. We've all been Kirk at some point, angry at a warning, certain that we know best. And pride can be loud, drowning out the gentler notes of wisdom. But love doesn't vanish when we lash out. True love waits outside the room, walks in quietly, and takes our hand even when we're ashamed. If you've been hurt by correction, pause. Just breathe. Let time soften the edges. And maybe what felt like rejection was actually someone guarding your tomorrow. And if you've been Charlie, the one offering guidance that was rejected, just take heart. Your quiet faithfulness matters, even if it isn't understood right now. We live in a culture quick to cancel, quick to accuse, but deep care takes patience. It takes returning to the bedside, offering your hand without needing to be right. That's the kind of love that shapes futures. Who in your life might need your gentle presence today, even if they don't yet understand that you actually care? Charlie's silence at Kirk's bedside spoke volumes. Correction doesn't always need argument to justify it. Sometimes love proves itself over time. Kirk's anger wasn't truly at Charlie. It was fear and pride colliding. He wanted to be capable, independent, respected. Charlie's warning pierced that fragile pride, and Kirk misread it as a type of disdain. But the injury pulled back the veil. Kirk saw that Charlie's firm words had been a shield of love. Love in its truest form often looks like restraint or boundary. It is empathy that refuses to stay silent when silence would mean harm. The sparks in the welding shop mirror the sparks in our relationships. They can burn, but they can also forge something stronger. The scars on Charlie's hands, they weren't shameful. They were evidence of wisdom won through pain. And now, through his own wound, Kirk would carry a deeper vision, not of his work alone, but of the love that held him. Think of a moment when someone's guidance, though maybe unwelcome, became a turning point for you. And what shifted when you understood their heart? In Galatians 6:1, we read, "Brothers, if any is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness." Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. Gentleness doesn't mean passivity. It means speaking truth with care, aware of our own frailty. Charlie embodied this. He corrected with firmness, but no malice. Even after Kirk's angry words, he stayed close enough to restore, not condemn. When we face correction or offer it, humility matters. The verse reminds us to hold both conviction and compassion, whether you're in Charlie's chair or Kirk's hospital bed. God's heart toward us is one of restoring love. Who might be waiting silently or unknowingly for your gentle restoration today? Loving correction can preserve relationships, character, even futures. But it asks something hard of us: humility. To receive correction well, we must quiet pride and just listen. To give correction well, we must lay down ego and speak from love, not superiority. You might carry an old wound from someone's words, or perhaps you regret words you spoke in haste. Healing starts with presence. Sometimes just sitting beside someone. No speeches, no defensiveness. Like Charlie's hand in Kirk's, a simple gesture can rebuild what anger broke. So try approaching correction with gentleness, whether offering or receiving it. Notice how your heart softens when you imagine the other person's good. The world doesn't need more harshness. It needs more steady hands, willing to guide and to be guided. Who could you approach with gentleness today, inviting healing where pride once stood? Correction is never easy. It can bruise pride, spark anger, and strain relationships. But it can also be a bridge, a hand reaching across the gap, reminding us that love is worth discomfort. So if today's story stirred something in you, maybe it's time to forgive a hard word or to reach out where you've pulled away. Your presence, your listening ear, your steady care, they all matter. That said, thank you for spending this time here. If this message spoke to you, liking and subscribing and commenting really does help more than you know. It keeps conversations like this alive and reaching those who need them. And I'm not going to lie, it makes me feel a little bit good to see people are listening. And remember, while it may not always be who we are, it can be about who we want to be. Thank you for watching.